Joining us now to talk about all of this is Shannon Goessling, Executive Director and Chief Legal Counsel of the Southeastern Legal Foundation. Hey, Shannon, how are you?
I'm great, Steve. How are you? It's been a good couple of days.
Yeah, well, yeah, so far, so good. I mean, they could have gone further in both cases, but you take victory where you could get it, I guess. Let's hope we have victory tomorrow. But that's when they're going to announce Prop 8 and DOMA, the court will. But this is something that that you've been pushing for. Your organization has gone to court many times in voting rights cases, correct?
Yes, we have, and in fact, in the 2009 Northwest Austin Municipal Utility District 1 case, which most people know is the first of the Voting Rights Act challenges, we filed an amicus, which was cited 3 different times by Justice Thomas, because we were laying out basically what the court talked about today, which was the Voting Rights Act, Section 4 and Section 5 had a place in the 60s. It doesn't have a place in 2013, and in fact 2009 we specifically took Georgia and said, what is the minority participation in the electoral process, in election politics and across the state? And we have outstanding participation. We have local minority elected officials, statewide minority elected officials. We have one of the highest participation rates in the country. And so if you took what the conditions were in Georgia, that formula would not apply.
Right.
And
yeah.
So,
no, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it just doesn't work. And it was nice because Justice Thomas, who is of course a Georgia, born and raised in Georgia, back in Savannah, said exactly that. And wouldn't it have been nice if Congress would have taken note of what the court had said in 2009 and actually done their job, instead of now the court has said, okay, Congress, you can't use data from the 60s and the 70s for these very intrusive rules. I mean, that's what the federal government is intruding on state sovereignty, but not everybody's state sovereignty, only 9 states and some jurisdictions.
Right. And when you talk about the Congress doing its job, the Congress had every opportunity to act under Nancy Pelosi as Speaker, Harry Reid as Majority Leader, and Barack Obama as President. But all they cared about for 2 years was health care.
Yeah, a big waste of my time and dollars. And it's such a shame. But the U.S. Supreme Court has done its job, and well done to them by saying, look, we don't have to rewrite it for you. We just have to tell you whether it's constitutional, and it's unconstitutional under the 15th Amendment. And the wonderful news about this decision also for anybody who's going to say the sky is falling, and tell them, no, it's not. Section 2 is a permanent part of our landscape. If there is blatant discrimination, if there's any discrimination, people have a cause of action.
Absolutely. They could go to court and they could sue. That's absolutely correct. And we are talking right now with Shannon Goessling, Executive Director and Chief Legal Counsel of the Southeastern Legal Foundation, here on the Steve Malzberg Show. Earlier we had Ambassador Andrew Young, who cited Georgia as an example, although he did give that the South has changed when it comes to racial politics. But nonetheless, he used Georgia as an example of gerrymandering that has gone on there. He said the Republicans control the State House and blamed it on gerrymandering, and that's why he said that this can't stand. And he believes, and I disagree with him, that the Democrats will take the House back in 2014 and then overturn this through the Congress.
You can't overturn history and progress. Nobody is going to dispute what was being done in the South in the 40s and the 50s and the 60s. How could we? We shouldn't. You can't. Don't forget your past because you were destined to repeat it. We have learned from it. We are a different society. We are a better society, and we are a protected society with the Voting Rights Act. And you know what? People like Andrew Young are trying to stay relevant when the South is progressing past the Andrew Youngs of the world. We are better than that, and that's across the board. That's across every race, every gender, and we are better than that type of mentality.
Now, let me ask you not to interrupt. Let me ask you about something that there seemed to be a consistent theme with. I saw an interview with Jesse Jackson, who said that people will not let this stand. which implied maybe taking to the streets in a peaceful way. And Al Sharpton on MSNBC actually said that a huge part of Martin Luther King's dream died today, and the children of Martin Luther King Jr. will not let this stand. And also Andrew Young said that if it can't be done through the legislature, then you have to take other means. So I'm assuming they're all referring to marching on Washington or peaceful protests, civil disobedience, that kind of thing. Although I don't know because none of them specified that. Do you expect that kind of reaction to this if Congress doesn't take action on it to the satisfaction of the aforementioned?
I don't know what would satisfy them. I mean, we're talking about equality of persons in the electoral process. We're talking about a law that protects all of us in the electoral process so that no particular group is discriminated against. I'm not sure what their expectation would be if it isn't equality of access to the polls, and that's exactly what the Voting Rights Act does. Nothing has been undermined today. And I would expect that Congress, if you use the formula with the data today, you use the formula and the data today, do you know what jurisdiction will be covered? Hawaii.
Wow.
That's it. Hawaii. So Hawaii has some issues. I'm not sure what they are, to be perfectly frank.
Yeah, I was going to ask you. I was going to ask you that myself. I don't know what they have as issues either.
But no, that means nobody would be covered. What wonderful progress. I mean, and I hope Congress, controlled by whomever, it doesn't matter to me, acknowledges the progress of this country. Whether Jesse Jackson or Al Sharpton or Andrew Young want to acknowledge the progress of our country and minorities in this country, I think it's a shame. I mean, I think they should be proud of the progress that we've had and that we don't require an intrusive federal government into how we run our polls and our election.
Shannon, one final question. We got less than a minute, and that is, the Justice Department, Eric Holder, has said, I'm not going to let states get away with anything. We're going to be keeping a close eye. And do you fear that an administration that has selectively enforced the law and not enforced the laws they don't like, that there may be problems here?
I tell you, I fear the type of administration that makes such an announcement, but Southeastern Legal Foundation and all other advocates and citizens just need to be mindful and aware, and we'll take action as we need to
Gotcha.
to hold this administration accountable for such behavior.
Shannon